The national currency is one of the most important attributes of statehood. At the same time, a complex economic mechanism requires an appropriate organization. In many ways, therefore, after the collapse of the USSR, the newly formed independent states introduced their national currencies much later than the other attributes of independent statehood, because it was necessary to thoroughly prepare for this. Many then believed that we should preserve the ruble zone as a way to preserve economic ties in the complex process of reforming the economies of the new nation-states. There is no doubt that there were many such people in Kazakhstan. The first president, Nursultan Nazarbayev, noted that initially, the newly independent states declared their intention to remain in the single currency zone. The vast majority of enterprises made payments in Soviet rubles. A sudden switch to its own currency could have negative consequences for everyone. At the same time, the post-Soviet ruble zone was torn apart by constant disagreements and contradictions. Cash was often scarce, and representatives of the Kazakh government were sometimes forced to travel to Moscow to beat out cash for wages and pensions. At that time in the new Russia, it was a popular opinion that the economies of other republics were rather a burden to the Russian economy and its financial system. That is largely why, on July 26, 1993, Russia left the ruble zone, creating its own Russian ruble. After that, Soviet rubles from the entire territory of the former USSR ended up in the economic system of Kazakhstan. This caused a rise in the money supply and a sharp increase in inflation. Accordingly, there was no other way but to quickly create a national currency as well. The national currency, in this sense, has a special symbolic meaning. Actually, the introduction of the national currency is the final touch in the design of an independent state. This event made it completely impossible to return to the former Soviet statehood. After this, the definition of economic policy was fully transferred to the national level. Therefore, it is very important that Nursultan Nazarbayev made an important tactical pause in the issue of switching to the national currency. He was ready for this, but waited until the decision to abandon the ruble zone was finally made in Moscow. On November 1st, 1993, Kazakhstan first published data on the country's gold and foreign exchange reserves. On November 2nd, it was announced that it would exit the ruble zone. On November 12th, the first president, Nursultan Nazarbayev, signed a decree on the introduction of the national currency of the Republic of Kazakhstan. On this occasion, he wrote that, "Addressing my compatriots, in connection with this historical event, I said that from this moment, the countdown of a new, crucial stage in the formation and development of a truly independent state, Kazakhstan, began." Without any doubt, this was a historic moment for Kazakhstan. The national currency is one of the factors that makes it possible to conduct an independent economic policy. It is no coincidence that in the European Union, despite all the huge opportunities that the euro area provides, many of its members are not going to abandon their national currencies. For example, Poland and the Czech Republic are maintaining their own currencies. At the same time, in those countries that have switched to the euro, for example in Italy or Greece, they often talk about the possibility of refusing to use it. The exchange of rubles for tenge began on November 15th at 8 a.m. and ended on November 20th at 8 p.m. After that, a new stage in the history of independent Kazakhstan began, in which the national currency, the tenge, took its rightful place. The choice of a name for the currency was of great symbolic importance. During the Soviet era, the names of money in the languages of all 15 republics were used in the design of banknotes. In the Turkic-speaking republics, the name som was used, while in other areas, versions of soms and manats were used. The manat was used in Azerbaijan and Turkmenistan, as well as in the Republic of Georgia. Meanwhile, soms were used in Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Uzbekistan, as well as in Tajikistan. As for the name som, it comes from the Turkic word pure in relation to the coin, meaning a pure alloy of silver or gold, which should emphasize its value. The first usage of the word in this context was noted by Mahmud Kashgari in an 11th century text. At the time of the Golden Horde, som was the name of a 200-gram silver ingot that was melted down into a coin called tenge. The word tenge itself comes from the name tamga, which in the Turkic-speaking world was a sign certifying a signature and served as a symbol of a particular tribe. Tamgas were placed on goods that were inspected during transit through the territory of a nomadic state. For example, this is where the word for customs in Russian comes from. The choice of the tenge as the name of the Kazakh currency was a very strong move on the part of the first president, Nursultan Nazarbayev, although he later wrote that at first he was inclined to the name Altyn. However, the choice of the name Tenge was more in line with the positioning of the new state of Kazakhstan, which occupies a strategically important place in the center of Eurasia, in the place where the strong statehood of nomadic peoples has always been.